Start your forever world right with these 8 base building tips. Number 1. Take your time picking your base location. I cannot stress enough how important this is. Especially if you're starting a forever world and intend to be playing for the long haul, it is strongly encouraged that you be picky when selecting the place that you're going to plant your roots in for your main base. So what are some tips I could share to help you to that goal? Well, for me, I have 3. First, it is okay if you build a tiny base in the beginning, anywhere, just to get yourself established, maybe go mining and get a base layer of iron or diamond gear. For me, I would probably skip this step in my experience, but it's understandable if you want to get some gear as soon as possible, and it definitely does help prepare you for the road ahead. Then, I would build a boat, probably one with a chest on it, to lug your small valuables as you look for your forever home. Boats are extremely cheap to make and are a very effective and relatively safe early game transportation method. From the seas, you can peruse land areas until one really strikes your fancy. We knew we wanted ocean front on our city, and this is exactly what we did before we planted our roots down in our forever world.
Now, it should be said that if you are certain that you do not want a coastal city, right, you want to be high up on the mountains, inland, or something like that, then of course this boat tip doesn't help. I think a lot of people like waterfront builds, and if that's the case, traveling by boat really is the safest and most effective way in the very early game. But if not, going back to my tip just before, definitely build an entry-level base, gear up, and get your hands on a bed. With a bed, then you can safely travel the world, and at dusk, quickly plant it, sleep, bring the sun back up, and traverse the world relatively safely while you are picking out the location for your forever home.
Lastly, and I've mentioned this in different videos before, I strongly encourage using a map mod like Zero's World Map. Link in the description below. This will enable you to see where you've been and pick an area after scouting many in the context of your greater world. Again, if this is your forever world, be picky with your base location. Number 2, center your base in your city or project. A big mistake Runkelus and I made when we founded our capital city, Vinland, is we did not do this at first. Our warehouse was all the way up on top of the mountain, and even though we had aspirations of building a whole city below the mountain, with the mountain having a palace on top, that we pretty much still haven't worked on yet, this was before we had elytra, so making trips to and from the warehouse atop the mountain, all the way from the bottom in the harbor, was absolutely grueling. Eventually I said one day, enough is enough, and Runkelus and I built a basement to Runkelus's ironworks facility. As you can see on our map, it sits pretty much in the center of our city. You might be thinking it's off-center, but be aware there's a lot more city we plan to build to the southeast, as well as north and the northeast. In the fullness of time, this warehouse will be central to our city, which is a logistical godsend when loading and offloading materials. Number 3, have good base logistics. Part and parcel to centralizing your main base is that you should always be thinking about your base logistics. First, notice how relatively small of a space we occupy for almost all of our storage. It's a tiny little catwalk that just sits right above our main workshop. Anything that cannot fit here goes to overflow boxes up top. You want your warehouse to be accessible and quick and easy to move about in. Secondly, we should point out all the access points we have to our main workshop. There's the main stairs down from Runkelus's ironworks. There's boat access from the harbor that brings us behind the alchemy lab. There's a big bay in the back that easily gets us out to the city and can be flown in and out of via elytra. There's a walk path to our trade hall, and there's a different walk path to our bank vault. These paths are not finished, but they are functional. There's even a trap door above in the ironworks where you can push a button to drop in. We also have a stair that takes us right to our nether portal and to our mines below. This might sound like overkill, but if it's the part of the base that you are going to be spending your most time in, trust me, it's not. This is your forever world, and if you intend to spend, well, forever here, then saving seconds on the trips that you'll be making hundreds of times over will palpably add up. Number 4, base automation. I cannot stress strongly enough how valuable certain auto farms are. Ones that can aesthetically fit your vision are the ones I recommend putting right into your main workshop. For us, we've got bamboo, cactus, sugarcane, and kelp, all inside our main workshop. I also built a gunpowder farm, but it's huge and unsightly, so I wanted it far outside of the city. So, to take a step back to logistics, we also have a train station connected right to our warehouse and high-speed rails taking us out to far out points of interest. Rails are sped up by enabling experiments so we can speed the carts to use these rails effectively, which segues into tip number 5. Turning minecart experiments on. If you're early enough in your build, or better yet, just getting started altogether, I strongly recommend enabling experiments for minecart improvements. To do so, click Create New World, then click the More tab in the top right section of the screen, click Experiments, and then click Minecart Improvements. I'm not aware of any drawbacks of enabling this feature, but it's important to note that you can only toggle this on or off at the time of making the world. Once the world is made, this option can no longer be toggled. That said, I was able to use an existing world to get this on, but it took a lot of file manipulation and did come with some drawbacks. If you want to learn how to do that, make a comment below and I'll consider making a tutorial on how I did that. Back on track, doing this allows you to use the following command: /gamerule minecart max speed. You can then enter any value from 1 to 1000. These values are actually pretty simple to understand. This value equals the max speed in blocks per second that the minecart can travel. The default setting is the painfully slow 8. And while you might consider playing with it to see what you like, we like 64 at our server. It doesn't feel like it's cheap fast or overpowered, just a bit faster than the Elytra, and certainly the best way to get from point A to point B on any locations that we put the effort in connecting via rail. Watch how quickly we can travel over 1,000 blocks with the minecart set to this speed. It feels fair, it feels perfect, and we are glad that we have this feature available. Number 6. Modular building. When building your workshop, you don't have to get it all right the first time, and you certainly don't need to build it all right up front. Build your base in a way that invites and allows expansion, and therefore don't get too attached to certain parts of it when expansion is warranted. This workshop has evolved many times over the past year to reach the form that it is now. We had to update, rearrange. We even had to rip the entire back wall off of it to make that flybay that I mentioned earlier. These are all parts of growing as your city grows and your needs expand. If you can think about this earlier in the build, it will save you work later. Your main workshop is the beating heart of your project. Always be thinking about how you can improve it as your city expands and your needs grow. Number 7. Build a trade hall ASAP. Villager trades completely change the game, and in my opinion, are arguably one of the biggest progression moves you can make. Having access to myriad enchants, especially mending, will improve your productivity for everything else you could be doing. And as I detailed in an entire dedicated video, we get a ton of mileage from our stonemasons as well. Having a villager trade hall is a massive way to tech up your base, and this is why you might want to consider where the nearest village is from your chosen base location. Knowing this in advance can help you plan as to how to port them over when the time comes. But I will say, happy guests have made this process a lot easier. Tip number 8. Expanding utility function as your base and city grows. Well, I've spent a lot of time talking about your main base, and in equal measure the broad layout and structure of our workshop. I have to note that as your city reach grows and the general safe area that you've claimed through structures, lighting, and barriers expands, the more it is advised that you expand your operation. For example, our city has 3 trade halls, a detached library for some of our best librarians, a detached pantheon for our clerics, and even a detached farm stand with more farmers and an additional farm up top. While we are certainly no strangers to using a lot of our space for strictly aesthetic builds, it's always a thought as to which of these structures might be useful in expanding our utility. This helps make your city feel more alive and lived in by NPCs and the like. The more utility you bring to your expansions, the more often you'll find yourself revisiting them and enjoying your overall builds in the future. Tip number 9, style your workshop. I cannot stress this hard enough. When Runculus and I built our first warehouse on this server, it was just a lifeless gray cave far up on the mountain and far away from everything. So when we decided to give our new workshop an aesthetic style, it was an absolute godsend. You're probably going to spend more time in your workshop and warehouse than anywhere else. So yes, you want it to be efficient and flow well, as I've enumerated earlier in this video, but it should also be something that you're proud of and like looking at. Do not skimp on the details for the places that you will be frequenting the most. After all, that's what Minecraft's all about, isn't it? That's all I've got for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving us a like and a subscription. Happy building, and we'll catch you in the next one. This is Vicktus, signing off.